ReZero Season 4, Episode 2 is out, and we're already going straight into more suffering. The classic ReZero is starting. I'm already thinking that this arc will have a ton more deaths than the last, given that we're only on the second episode and he's died twice already. But without further ado, let's get into the video. We begin with Subaru and company getting ready to set off towards the Agaria sand dunes, with Subaru placing a glove over his right hand, the one afflicted by the dragon blood curse. He's finally in his desert outfit, which we've been seeing across the trailers. It's kinda sad that we're probably not gonna see the tracksuit again until the end of this arc, but I do love this outfit. It has a ton of layers, and he still manages to maintain his aesthetic through his orange scarf. For Amelia's outfit, I'm not as much of a fan. I'm aware it calls back to Fortuna's clothes, but I don't think it looks that good. I'm not really an expert on traveling in desert climates, but I don't know if skin-tight clothes like these are appropriate for this type of mission. I do like that she's using her hood here though. This note about the mob he sent foreshadows some of the conflict we'll see later, alongside Julius scratching Joseph's neck. I watched the episode in both sub and dub, and I don't know if other people agree, but I find it kinda odd that the dub takes the Japanese pronunciation so literally. Like, Subaru says Julius and Joseph, rather than Julius and Joseph. I think it would just make more sense to use the English pronunciations. Roswell then informs them of the maintenance that must be performed on Ram's horn, as Ram requested to join the party. I do have one complaint here, and it's that we just kind of teleported to Mirala. When their group traveled to Priscilla, we took some time for the trip for conversation, but we don't really get that here. We even get a nice reveal of the city, but here it's just kind of missing. It would have been nice to see that setting a bit more. We're then introduced to the Sand Time, which, as we are told later, is a periodical effect of the spell that prevents people from approaching the Pleiades watchtower. As we would expect from the fact that not even Reinhard was able to make it to the tower, no one has been there in 400 years. Since the era of the witches. The barman talks of people who've spotted birds that started flying towards the tower in the past year. This note may be important, as 1 year ago was when Subaru was first summoned to the Gunica, although the bird we're shown in the opening is a bit different from the one we're shown in the show. We're told pretty crucial information about Julius and his spirits. Although they haven't left his side, because of Gluttony's authority, he can't use them to fight. So his combat capabilities have been greatly reduced, unable to use spells like All Clauseria, or any spirit arts in general. Although Julius is still a skilled swordsman, but he and Subaru's combat abilities have gotten a lot closer to each other in strength. They've also got a lot closer personally as well, especially with Subaru being pretty much the only person in the world who knows who he is. We've certainly been a long way since Season 1. The relationship has warmed up a lot more than Subaru would like to admit. Even though Julius still has his formal talk, he's a lot looser when he's around Subaru. And from Season 3, we've been shown how Julius admires that Subaru can speak his mind. Then, Sand Time starts. Alongside the sand, we're told it has miasma as well. With this conversation, although she obviously doesn't trust her, it's kind of funny to think that Foxidna and Beatrice are basically sisters, because they're both artificial spirits made by Echidna. Here, Foxidna assures Subaru to just continue moving towards the tower. We're shown that Melee is actually quite capable, given that she's able to control a creature so massive. Abnormally massive as described by Julius. My impression from the trailers and openings was that the team would actually have to fight them, but this doesn't seem to be the case. At least not yet. When their group stops to rest, Amelia sets up these ice shelters, which is pretty cool. And they actually spend about 2 days continuously heading towards the tower. We're also shown Beatrice and Amelia performing the magic that Roswell does on Ram's horn. Then, Subaru proves himself to not be as he says he wants to get into a bathtub. I'm suspicious as to why Foxidna decided not to reveal her knowledge of the barrier surrounding the watchtower until now. There are more innocent explanations like wanting to gain information during sand time, devising a plan, or more sinister ones. It's not super explicit here, but I'm sure Julius is suspicious of her having this sort of information. Despite knowing about the sand time, Foxidna doesn't know about the birds that head towards the tower, revealing that it might be genuinely a more recent phenomena as the man described. Like I said before, this bird is similar but not quite the same, mainly in the beak area. Then the group finally makes it through the sandstorm. This magic seems to kinda be a callback to the beginning of Arc 2, where Beatrice is rage-baiting Subaru with an infinite hallway through her use of yin magic. This also happens in flashback scenes during Arc 4. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, I recommend subscribing. We do loads of ReZero content, so you should check out our other videos afterwards. Now back to the video. We're shown this cute part with Subaru and Beatrice before ReZero being ReZero begins. As I mentioned earlier, the scene with Meili at the beginning of episode was important, foreshadowing the conflict with the Oiran bears. It appears to be blind, but when Meili tries to guide it away, Joseph roars, which alerts a horde of them. Like with most other cases of CG within ReZero, it looks decent here. Which is not to say that it wouldn't look better hand-drawn, but it certainly doesn't look bad. Here's an issue I had with Season 3 and now Season 4, which is when Emilia's fighting, she sounds kind of silly now. This definitely wasn't an issue in Season 1 or 2, and I'm not really sure why they're taking this approach to her voice direction. I don't think it fits these scenes very well. The action here is animated quite well though. Something here I just had to mention is that Beatrice says run out of gas. And no, I don't think that this is solely a localization. She literally says gas, which I thought was kind of interesting because this idiom only came around with the invention of automobiles. I'd say this is likely a result of the diffusion of English words and modern sayings from characters beyond the Great Waterfall. Subaru's head is then absolutely obliterated in an instant, and he comes back almost immediately after it happens. This is actually one of the shortest loops we've seen so far, even shorter than the one in Arc 5, which gives Subaru so little time to find a way out. His expressions here are really well drawn. This loop goes on a lot like the last. Subaru hadn't been able to think of a course of action to prevent his death just yet. These scenes are built up quite well, and I like their choice of background music. The animation here of the sandworm getting eviscerated is brutal, and what happens after is quite rough. Patricia throws herself at Subaru in an attempt to save him, showing us a nasty and terrifying view of her guts and shattered ribs. We then realize her attempt was futile as Subaru's intestines were mangled. Beatrice's expressions here are heartbreaking, and I always love how ReZero portrays Subaru's shock at his wounds. It's done similarly in Season 1, but this is a lot more gruesome than Elsa's attack. This scene is so painful because it's actually the first time Beatrice has seen Subaru die since they've made their contract together. Thinking of Subaru's words at that moment makes it all the more depressing. The harsh ringing and the overall sound design of this shot really helps the scene. Another thing that's even worse is that Subaru's alive all the way until Beatrice dies. He had to see all of that all while his organs are spilling out. We get this haunting picture of Subaru's half-dead eyes before his life is extinguished. Now, at the last loop of this episode, Subaru tells Beatrice that he loves her. Then he uses invisible providence to calm down Joseph. I quite like how this cut was animated. Subaru is finally able to take a step back and breathe, and confer with his team about the light coming from the watchtower. I think this shot of the assailant viewing Subaru is cool. Now that the team is wary of the attacker, they're able to react in just enough time to stop the needle from killing Subaru. The cut of Julius striking down the needle was well done. Beatrice and Subaru then show off their new spell named EMT, which is Absolute Nullification Magic. And it unintentionally creates a crack in the distortion space that surrounds the tower. Setting up the next episode, the team is swallowed by the earth into the unknown. Overall, I think this was a pretty strong episode. It was fast at some points, but we had some pretty nice animation and some pretty gruesome scenes, which were quite impactful. We got some good characterization. And once more, we're shown how tough this arc is going to be. If I had to give it a ReZero rating, it would be 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I recommend subscribing, liking, commenting, and hyping up the video. It really helps us out. If you'd like, you're welcome to stick around for more. I'm going to try to do these episodes weekly, no guarantees though, because we're approaching finals, and I think my grades are just the tiniest bit more important than making ReZero YouTube videos, but I'll try my best. That's all. Goodbye.